Right now we got 2 tools. You can do this without the impact. You can do it with the 9/16, but you need 2 wrenches. First, we're going to pop this wheel off and show you how to do a dry sprocket replacement. Pop the bottom side of the track off that wheel there, lift above here. Track comes off. Remove that bolt for the dry sprocket. Pull it off. It's got a keyway in there. That thing needs to be lined up. If you need to take that keyway out, get the dry sprocket on, line it up, and then stick it back in. Make sure this is anti-seized on all the parts. The shaft, the bolt needs to be anti-seized, and the keyway needs to have anti-seize on it too. This bolt is 1.25 inches long, so don't confuse it with this bolt because it's 1 inch long when you're doing this replacement. Retorque to 135 inch-pounds. If you over torque this, it will bend the fender washer and it does not hold correctly. Next, we're going to show you center wheel replacement. If you have questions on how to get the track off, you can watch that video. You can use the same tools that you use to take the track off. Take this bolt out, you'll see there's a floating axle in there. If you need something to push that out, you can use an extension, punch, whatever. Take out that floating axle. And then there's a bushing on each side of this. When you pull that out, there's 2 bushings. To put this back in, you'll see a small side and a large side, like every wheel we have. Stick this one spacer on the small side, and then when you try to get it between these things here, you don't need to bend them out. Take this spacer, set it in that hole, go back in there the same way. Take the floating axle, start it on one side, wiggle it, wiggle the other spacer until you can line it up. Flush, make sure it's out the other side before you put the bolt on here and start torquing on the thing, because it'll wreck the other side of the hole. That shaft needs to have anti-seize on it, and so does the bolt to keep that stuff free. Torque to spec. Next, we're going to do the center wheel. There's urethane cushions in there, so we can show you a wheel replacement and how to replace those polyurethane cushions as well. This is also a floating axle. You use the same tools that you use to take the track off and do a center wheel here. Just grab this wheel here, pull out, it'll pull that axle right and that wheel will fall off. This is the order of how you replace it when it goes back in. There's a polyurethane bushing here and here that stick into the frame first, then we'll stick this axle in there, put these 2 spacers on, and then you put the wheels on each side and then replace the bolt. You can leave the bolt in there to do this swap. just like that. You can start one side just like that. Take the polyurethane bushing, slide it on the axle, then into the tube. Try to keep it somewhat centered, makes it a little easier. Replace the plastic bushing. Wheel goes on, same way. Now you can see this is sticking out. Doesn't matter, that's okay, because it's just not centered in there when you put it back together. You can use a hammer, your hand or whatever to seat that. Washer goes back on. Replace your nut. Torque this down like the rest of the bolts. If you tighten it down, it bottoms out on the ends of that floating axle, so it doesn't over torque the polyurethane bushings. The same floating shaft is in these bushings on the footrest. If you take these 4 9/16 head bolts out, that shaft will pop out and you can replace it the same way. It floats the same. Also back here, if you're going to do these arm cushion polyurethane bushings, take the arm off so it has a lot less weight. There's the 4 9/16 head bolts here, pop them apart, and they push in the exact same way, replace and put the arms back on.